Imagine planting something once and watching your soil get better every single season after that. Not because you added more fertilizer, not because you bought a new product, but because the soil itself started working for you. Healthier structure, more life, better water retention, stronger plants, and all of that without spreading a single bag of fertilizer year after year. It sounds unrealistic to most people, and that's exactly why almost no one uses this method correctly. Stay with me until the end of this video, because the real power of this plant is not what you see above the ground, but what happens silently underneath your feet. Most gardeners grow up believing the same idea. Plants take nutrients from the soil, and the soil slowly gets weaker. That belief leads to constant fertilizing, constant correction, and constant frustration. When results drop, people assume they need more inputs. More nitrogen, more amendments, more effort. But the truth is, soil doesn't fail because it lacks products. It fails because it lacks life. Instead of draining the soil, it rebuilds it from the inside out. At first glance, this plant looks ordinary. No exotic shape. No dramatic flowers. Nothing that screams miracle. And that's exactly why it's ignored. But underground, it triggers one of the most important natural processes in agriculture. A process so effective that entire farming systems were built around it long before synthetic fertilizers existed. This plant doesn't just grow in the soil. It partners with it. As it develops its root system, something unusual begins to happen. Tiny nodules form along the roots. These nodules are not defects. They are not disease. They are biological factories. Inside them live beneficial bacteria with a rare ability. They capture nitrogen from the air and convert it into a form plants can actually use. This is crucial because nitrogen is one of the most limiting nutrients for plant growth, and most soils struggle to hold on to it. This plant changes that completely. While it grows, nitrogen is slowly stored in the soil, not dumped all at once, not washed away by rain. At the same time, the roots loosen compacted ground, create channels for water and oxygen, and feed microorganisms that most gardens are missing entirely. The soil becomes darker, softer, more alive. And this happens without any visible effort from the gardener. This is where many people misunderstand the process. This plant is not used for harvest. It's not grown for food. It's grown for transformation. You allow it to grow long enough to do its work underground. And then, at the right moment, it's cut down or lightly incorporated, not destroyed, but completed. The roots remain. The nodules remain. And all the stored nutrients stay exactly where you want them, in the soil. Now comes the part that surprises most people. When the next crop is planted, it doesn't start from zero. It starts in a soil that is already prepared. A soil that feeds instead of resists. Plants establish faster. Roots go deeper. Growth is steadier. Not because you added fertilizer, but because the soil finally functions the way it was designed to. This is why some gardeners seem to succeed effortlessly while others constantly struggle. It's not about skill or money. It's about systems. And this plant is one of the simplest systems you can use to keep soil alive year after year. So what is this plant? Its name is Fertilizer. Fertilizer belongs to a group of plants known for their ability to rebuild soil naturally. In many parts of the world, it has been used as a cover crop and green manure for decades, sometimes centuries. But in modern gardening, it was pushed aside in favor of quick chemical fixes. And that's a mistake many soils are still paying for today. Fertilizer doesn't overnight. And that's actually its greatest strength. Instead of forcing growth, it creates balance. It reduces erosion It protects the soil surface. It feeds microorganisms that support future crops. And because the nitrogen it provides is released slowly, plants don't suffer from sudden spikes or deficiencies. Another powerful benefit is resilience. Soils improved with Fertilizer handle extreme conditions better. During dry periods, they retain moisture longer. During heavy rain, they drain more evenly. This means less stress for plants and more consistent growth throughout the season. Of course, timing matters. The goal is to let the plant fully develop its root system before flowering completes. This small detail is where many people fail, and why results vary so much when others try to copy the method without understanding it. If you've made it this far, you already understand something most gardeners never learn. Healthy soil is built, not bought. And once you experience soil that improves instead of degrades, it changes the way you grow everything. If you want more content like this, natural methods, forgotten techniques, and practical ways to let nature do the heavy work, subscribe to the channel. These systems don't follow trends, but they deliver results year after year. One single plant won't fix bad soil overnight, but used correctly, it can start a process that keeps your soil alive without fertilizer, without chemicals, and without constant intervention. And once that process begins, everything you grow after becomes easier, stronger, and more reliable. Let the soil work for you. Once you understand what Fertilizer actually does underground, it becomes impossible to look at soil the same way again. But soil health is decided in places we never look at, and that's where this plant quietly changes everything. The real value of Fertilizer is not the nitrogen alone, but the chain reaction it creates inside the soil ecosystem. When those root nodules finish their job and begin to break down naturally, they don't just release nutrients. They feed soil, bacteria, and fungi that were previously inactive or missing. This microbial explosion is what turns dirt into living soil. Once that life is established, it doesn't disappear after one season. It multiplies. And each new crop benefits from the work that was done before it was even planted. Another detail most people overlook is how Fertilizer affects root behavior in future plants. Crops grown after it tend to develop deeper, stronger root systems. This happens because the soil is no longer compacted or hostile. Strong roots mean stronger plants, fewer diseases, and better yields with less effort. This is also why Fertilizer is often described as keeping soil alive. It doesn't just add something temporarily. It changes the conditions that determine whether life can exist in the soil at all. Once those conditions improve, the soil begins to regulate itself. Nutrients cycle more efficiently. Organic matter breaks down at the right pace. Harmful pathogens are naturally suppressed by beneficial organisms. It's not magic. It's balance. Many gardeners are surprised to learn that Fertilizer can also help reduce weed pressure over time. After it's cut, the improved soil structure favors desired plants over opportunistic weeds. This doesn't eliminate weeds completely, but it shifts the advantage back to the crops you actually want to grow. Less competition means less maintenance. There is also a psychological shift that happens when people start using plants like this. Instead of constantly reacting to problems, they begin to prevent them. Instead of asking, "What should I add?" they start asking, "What should I allow to happen?" This change in mindset is often the biggest long-term benefit. Gardening becomes simpler, calmer, and more predictable. Of course, no system works if it's misunderstood. It works best as part of a rotation, especially in soils that have been degraded or overworked. Used once, it helps. Each cycle builds on the last, creating momentum that synthetic solutions can never match. Another important point is that Fertilizer doesn't depend on perfect conditions. It grows in a wide range of soils and climates, which is one reason it has been used globally for soil improvement. It doesn't require constant attention. It's established, it does what it to do. That reliability is rare in gardening, and it's why this plant has survived centuries of agricultural change. If you're wondering why this knowledge isn't more common, the answer is simple. It doesn't sell products. It doesn't create dependence. And it doesn't promise instant results. But for those willing to think long-term, it offers something far more valuable: stability. A system that improves instead of collapses. By now, you should see why one single plant can make such a difference. Not because it's special on its own, but because it activates processes that soil has relied on long before humans tried to control it. When you work with those processes instead of against them, the results compound naturally. And once a foundation is strong, everything built on top of it becomes easier. Crotalaria won't headlines. It won't look impressive in a catalog. But beneath the surface, it does something far more important. It keeps your soil alive.